Alrighty, so this is your MAP team. Also, let me just actually bring it back. Today's focus and topic is welcome to the neighborhood. We really want to put emphasis to our new folks coming into town. Everyone's moving around, finding new homes, new towns. So we want to say welcome and give you all the different resources for somebody who did just come to Monrovia, or even for the ones that have lived here for 20 plus years. Maybe there's something that you will find in this presentation that you didn't know before. So with that, I will introduce our MAP team. So we do have our manager, Edson, myself, Aleks Menasakanian, and then we also have Jessie Wu. So that is your MAP team. And now, sorry, technical difficulties. All right, so today's presentation, again, is Welcome to Your Neighborhood. So we will start off with our city manager update from Dylan Feek. Then we'll go into community services updates with Rebecca Sandoval. Then we'll have Community Welcome Wagon with John Watson and also Katie and Hal. And then we will have a presentation for the Monrovia Area Partnership MAP programs, which is us. And then we will do neighborhood preservation with code enforcement and MAP leader announcements, MAP leader birthdays, and then see you next time. So with that, I'd like to introduce and welcome our Chaplain Brown. He's going to be doing the honors of our invocation today, and he is not feeling that great, so we really are thankful that he still is coming on and signing on and doing the invocation for us. And it's also his birthday, so happy birthday, Chaplain Brown.
Thank you so very much. Let us pray. Oh Lord, once again today we come before you in the spirit of praise and thanksgiving. Ever thankful for this opportunity to gather today as friends, as neighbors, leaders, and partners, working, growing, and building together a city and a community that's overflowing with innovation, creativity, vision, insight, purpose, promise, and possibility. So on today, bless, strengthen, encourage, uplift, and inspire everyone under the sound of my voice. The presenters, bless. The participants, bless. The MAP leadership team, bless. Everyone who made this day possible, richly bless them. May we leave this meeting better equipped, better informed, hopeful, and renewed. In your glorious name we pray. Amen and amen.
Thank you so much, Chaplain Brown. Feel better and have a great birthday.
Thank you.
All right, now we will move forward with a welcome from our city manager, Dylan Feek.
So good morning, everyone. Aleks and the team, I appreciate you inviting me and giving me an opportunity to be here. I'm really excited about today's presentation, particularly from our Welcome Wagon.
Looks like we have a technical difficulty there. Sorry
nope,
about that.
That's quite all right. Hey, as many of you may or may not know, last year our Welcome Wagon team received a statewide award from the California Parks and Recreation Society. I don't know if they're going to speak about that, but they've been recognized across the state for their what we call the Community Champions Award. They've been doing this for many years. It's a wonderful activity program and a way to welcome residents to Monrovia. We're a wonderful community. You're going to learn and be able, and many of us who have been here for many years know that Monrovia is a very special place. And I think what makes it so special is we try to maintain that small town feel and charm. So we do it through amazing programs like Community Champions, our Welcome Wagon team. You know, you have chamber activities, events, mixers. And at the City of Monrovia, we try to keep people connected to things that make Monrovia a special place. We're constantly trying to create community, hold events, activities. There's a whole lot that we could go into and talk about, but the easiest way to know what's going on at the City of Monrovia is through the weekly City Manager's Update. For those of you who don't know, I believe most on the call are probably enrolled in this Manager's Update notifications already. Go on the city's website, just search City Manager Update, and you'll get the link for the latest update. You can subscribe right there on the spot at the top of the page. You can share this, you can retweet it, you can share it on Facebook. It's a great tool that we've used to communicate and engage with our community. We've even been looking at ways that we can enhance it a little bit. Maybe we can add some surveys. We could do some polling and see what people think about different things. It's a great way to engage and hear back from the residents. But right now, it's our primary source for pushing out information that we want residents to know about. So upcoming events, activities, if you want construction updates, if you want to know about COVID and the current transmission rates or number of vaccinated people, if you want to know about this last week, we just made sure that people were aware that there's a couple trees coming down along Foothill Boulevard. It's really important for some people to know what's going to happen in their town before it actually starts happening. So we're constantly trying to push information out and share and make available, the pertinent, important items going on in the town. But I think probably more importantly, it's a way that the eye can be connected to residents a little bit more closely. So you'll see in those updates, I include my phone numbers, my emails. You can even get my personal cell phone on through the city manager's update. I'm on Facebook. Many times residents will have concerns or issues. They don't know where to go. And people are tagging me on Facebook, and I'll be responding as soon as I get the update. We want to be very, as a city manager, as a resident, and as someone who really cares deeply about this community, I want to be involved in making a difference. And so using the city manager update as our primary tool to connect with residents, we encourage everyone to subscribe to it. In the last 2.5 years, we've seen our subscription rates increase almost 200%. So it's gone up considerably, and we encourage people to continue sharing it, retweeting it, and hopefully continue to grow our participation. So thank you very much, Aleks, for allowing me to introduce folks to the City Manager Update. Be happy to answer any questions. I'll be here for the meeting, but thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dylan. Appreciate it. All righty. Now we will go ahead and welcome our community service updates with Rebecca Sandoval.
Thank you, Aleks, and thank you to the MAP team for having us join your meeting today. As Aleks mentioned, I'm a part of the community services team. We are the recreation division, so we work out of the community center, and we are fortunate and humbled to bring the community all of the special events, activities, and programs to our community that make us so special, as Dylan mentioned. So I thought I'd just quickly talk about what's coming up. So Concerts in the Park, if you haven't joined any of the Concerts in the Park, we are right in the middle of our series. We offer 8 concerts at Station Square on Saturdays and 8 concerts in Library Park on Sundays. So today there is a concert. It is Stone Soul. They are a Motown band, really fun, upbeat band. They're gonna start the concert from 7 o'clock and they go all the way till 8:30. Tomorrow we have Night Owl. It's a top 40 band. They also start at 7 o'clock and go till 8:30, and that's at Library Park. So 2 really cool opportunities to get out, bring a picnic in the park, and enjoy some live music. After that, we have 4 more concerts, 2 at Station Square and then 2 in Library Park on Sunday. After the concerts wrap up, we do host 2 movies in the park. Both of those movies are held in Recreation Park on Saturdays. Our first movie is on August 20th. We're going to be showing Encanto. It's a child's friendly movie. And we're going to have activities starting at 5 o'clock. We have an entertainer coming out. We have arts and crafts. We have games just to get the wiggles out and get the kids ready for the movie so they could sit and just enjoy a movie under the stars. And then that following week on Saturday, same day, same park, we're going to be showing Luca, which is a Disney Pixar movie. Same schedule, 5 o'clock, we'll start with activities. Our recreation leaders will be out doing games and crafts with the kids. And then the movies typically start around dawn, so about 8 o'clock. Just because we have a giant screen that we put out in the middle of Barney Glen Field, and we really can't see it until it's a little bit more dark. So the movie does start a little bit later, around 8 o'clock. So if you're looking to do something in the weekends, we have those going on. But our contract classes, our youth and adult classes are happening. We're, I believe, in our third week of classes. It's not too late to sign up. So if you are looking for something to do during the week in the evening, the majority of our classes are held at the community center. So we have yoga classes, we have dance classes. John and Katie's country line dance is jam-packed this season. I think they have like 40 people enrolled, and they have their classes in the K Dalton room, which is our big banquet room. But we have weekend classes like dog obedience classes. We have yoga in the park. So really just a mixture of everything. So if you're looking for something to do during the week, you could check out the Monrovia Today. It is online on the city's website. All of the classes are listed there. And then also our services that we provide at the community center, we have a dedicated passport office with about 10 agents that work during the week, and we could help residents or visitors with your passport needs. So if you need help with your renewal, if you need help applying for a new passport, we could walk the steps over the phone, or you could come on in and we'll be more than happy to take your passport photo, show you the steps to get it renewed, and show you what you need so that way you could get your passport. But those were all the updates. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. If not, thank you everybody, and hopefully you learned something that you didn't know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rebecca. So far in the chat, I don't see anyone having any questions. So thank you so much for covering all the bases and sharing all the great things that the community services has. Appreciate it. All righty, so let's move forward. Now we have, we are happy to introduce up here, because they are here with us in person, the Community Welcome Wagon. So John Watson and Katie will be joining us right now, and then Hal will join later.
Morning, everyone. This feels like we're in Old Home Week. I see so many familiar faces there, so it's nice to see you all. What I'd like to talk about before John presents more about the Welcome Wagon is how both of us got active in the city and how that spiraled into the Welcome Wagon and some other things that have happened as well. We both are nosy people, and we want to know what's going on in town. And one of the ways that we found out was through the Leadership Academy. It is a brand new thing right now, and this is what will be happening soon. When we started, it was a very different organization. John was able to go first. I was able to go later because my work schedule interfered, and so I had to figure out when I could go. We were introduced to every department in the city, and we're able to find out who makes the city run, what departments are working, how they work together. Something I've always enjoyed doing is being active in my community and knowing who to call, who to contact, how to find out things that I wanted to know was one of the benefits of going to that original Leadership Academy. We found out a few people that were active in the Monrovia Historic Preservation Group, and we'll talk about that in a minute because that's where the Welcome Wagon came from. They spurred us on, John and me, to getting involved in the community. And I think that's who we can blame for what we're doing now. I just wanted to mention a couple of things that I do, which some of you may or may not know. I'm a member of CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team. We are volunteers that back up the fire department. We have about 24 hours of very intense training. We need to know how to handle emergencies. If there is something very serious that happens in the community, obviously the fire department can't be everywhere all at once. So we become their eyes and ears, and we're also able to manage some small disasters if we have to on our own. You will usually see us at any kind of the summer events that happen in the park. There's usually a first aid station, and that's where CERT can be found. In addition, we're active with the Volunteer Center of San Gabriel Valley. Many people think that you have to have come from a court being assigned community service time in order to be part of the Volunteer Center. Well, I can let you know, for example, we have a friend who's 90, what? How old is she? 96 or something?
I think.
And she was working for quite a while in the volunteer center office, doing paperwork and organizing things for Macy. So you don't have to have any specific skill. If you want to just volunteer some time, rake up leaves in the community center parking lot, help to paint projects. The Make a Difference Day activity is coming up, and that's a wonderful time to get involved, spearheaded through the volunteer center. There are so many activities that can be done through the volunteer center. All you have to do is put your name in the hat. One other thing that I do is I am an instructor for the Senior Smart Driver program that is offered through AARP. It is a program that's meant for people 55 and over, but it's also open to any licensed driver. It's a wonderful way to find out about new laws, things that have changed, find out about the new electronics that come with cars, so people are not terrified to buy a new car. They know what they're getting and how to use it. So I do those every other month, and it's a wonderful opportunity for people to become better drivers, including me, because I always learn something new every time I do that. Those are just a couple of things that I do that I jumped into because of rubbing elbows with all kinds of people in town, including many of you that I see here. So how did the Welcome Wagon come to be? John and I were co-presidents of the Monrovia Historic Preservation Group many years ago, and we were soon going to be out of office, recognized that there were many people who were purchasing some of the older homes as the generations were turning over. Younger people were coming into the community. We wanted to be able to bring information about the Historic Preservation Group to them. Initially, we thought about bringing a teacup with a plant in it and decided that was really not the best way to get information. We asked our board, nobody wanted to pick up this challenge until we were finally out of office, and we said, we're going to do it. So we started out simply by putting a few pieces of paper together. John is going to show you a few of them in just a moment. And we decided that in order to let people in the community know what's going on here and how they can get involved, John slowly built up the content of the Welcome Wagon packet. I was involved with him. We would go out on Saturdays and meet new residents as we were able to get the information. And you might wonder how we get that information. This is a little piece of news. Long ago in the local newspaper, there was a column that listed any closed escrows. That's not there anymore, but we are still using information that we can get through some of the realtors who let us know when escrows close. We don't know someone's name. We just know the address, how much they paid for the property, how long the property was on the for sale list. And so it's a wonderful way for us to go out, and we did for quite a while together, to welcome people into the community. My work schedule got in the way. I couldn't go out frequently on Saturday mornings. And so we said, somebody's got to take over for me. And that turned out to be Hal Levins. So I'm going to let John take over from now, and I'm going to show you a couple of his handouts, but Hal will join us here in just a second.
Probably for me, the most important thing is telling somebody new things about our community they don't know. It's always a challenge. I want to find something that is new. So probably the best way to get started for a new resident is to sign up for the city manager update. The human resources created this for me and allowed me to put it in the welcome wagon packets. And so we tell people, sign up for the city manager update and you'll learn about Monrovia. Another really great aid for us is Monrovia Today. I know that this goes to so many of the residents, but I have a feeling they just throw it in the trash. When we get to go through it with somebody, we show them the inside where there's phone numbers, there's things happening in the community, there's a calendar, there's classes at the community center, there's programs at the library. A lot of people don't realize that the library has programs for children as well as for adults. So we tell them, get involved with the library. That is a fabulous place. Another really great source of information is the Chamber of Commerce. People don't realize that the Chamber of Commerce knows a lot more happening within the community than just business. They have residential, they have history, any of the programs like from some of the nonprofits are going on in town. The chamber knows about it and they'll relay that information on. One of the great things about this chamber book is a map, the map of Monrovia. So many people don't realize what Monrovia looks like. If you see anything in yellow there, that's Monrovia. We go into stories about how the wilderness area came to be, because that was quite a challenge when they were going to build all those homes up there. Originally, it was proposed about 200 homes to be built up there, and we didn't want it looking like Glendale. So over a few years of arguing and battling, we managed to buy the land. Also on that map, if you look right in the dead center of it, is the original Monrovia. The boundaries of the original Monrovia ran from California to on the east to Magnolia on the west, and from Foothill on the north to Walnut on the south. It was about 120 acres. So everything else that is Monrovia is an addition to the original Monrovia. So little stories like that we get to tell, to me, is what making people feel at home about. We have 3 historic groups here in town. One is the Historic Museum, which is over at 742 East Lemon. They're open 2 days a week, on Thursday and on Sunday from 2 to 4. They have all kinds of artifacts in there from old Monrovia, and they have some very interesting programs over there from time to time. The Historical Society, they are more interested in pictures and newspaper clippings and paper things that are that have to do with our city. They have pictures of the old Monrovia Airport. Most people don't even realize that we had an airport. Also at the airport, there was a restaurant called the Airdrome, which happened to be McDonald's first hamburger stand. That was McDonald's before McDonald's. And what's that picture?
The Anderson House.
Oh, and the Anderson House Museum. Thanks to Dylan, we got the wallpaper taken off of the inside of the house. We were working on that, and Katie and I went on vacation to Hawaii, and Dylan came over and finished it, he and his son. So thank you, Dylan, for keeping me off the ladder. And then there's the Monrovia Historic Preservation Group. We're interested more in buildings and the history of Monrovia. And one of the things that we have besides this visitor's guide is a motor tour. Most people don't realize that there's a motor tour of the city of Monrovia. You can put a CD in your car radio and it drives you all around through Monrovia. And that picture on the front is something kind of special to us. That's Katie and I sitting in front of the Idlewild House in a 1912 Hupmobile. I wish I owned a car, but I didn't.
I just want to mention also with the Historical Society that the Legacy Project is a major compilation of all kinds of history that we've put together that is now residing in the library. So if you log into the library, you can go to the Legacy Project. Be careful, you'll be there for 3 weeks.
Anyway, there's so many other things and places here in Monrovia that are really of interest. And I talk about the VFW. I'm a Korean War vet. The VFW has a restaurant most people don't realize is there. And they have food. They have a menu that is online, but it isn't always complete. The cook there is a retired mess sergeant from the Army, and he loves doing barbecues. So he fixes barbecued ribs, barbecued chicken, fish and chips. He's got all kinds of good stuff. So that's pretty much an idea of what we do. Hal has got something here also that is very interesting. I'm going to let him talk about that.
Every month,
Go ahead.
the president of the Monrovia Historic Preservation Group conducts a tour of Myrtle Avenue. The tour takes about 2 hours, and Jim Wigton, who conducts the tour, has a fountain of knowledge about every building on the street. It's a walk down one side and back up the other, and the cost is $5 just to cover some of the incidentals. But if you want to learn about the city of Monrovia as it was at the turn of the last century, please attend the tour. The next tour will be on August 6th. It starts at 10 a.m. and you meet on the corner of Palm and Myrtle. The Monrovia Historic Walking Tour.
Anyway, that pretty well concludes what we do as welcoming new residents. It's fun to go up, knock on the door and say, we're the welcome wagon. And they say, what the heck is that? So we've had some very interesting stories over the years.
One other little piece of news about why it's called the Welcome Wagon. Some of you oldsters around may remember that there was a Welcome Wagon all over the country. That company does not exist anymore. They actually were bought out into Canada and none of it exists anymore. But the problem is the name Welcome Wagon is a copywritten title. So we don't want to infringe. Therefore, we're called Monrovia's Welcome Wagon. See you out there on the street.
Thank you, Alex and Jason,
Thank you.
for having us here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think everyone's giving a virtual round of applause. Thank you so much, John and Katie and Hal, for coming on. As you can see, we have so many great groups in the city of Monrovia that really help put emphasis on community, and what better way than welcoming everyone as they enter Monrovia. So with that, now I will go ahead and move forward. So another great way to just know what's going on in your city is through some of our MAP programs. So I will be, me and Justin will be going over all of our programs. Some of you already know about them, but some of you are new. So we hope that you will be able to learn something from this. So just a summary of the topics that we're going to be covering. We have the About Us, MAP community events, MAP leadership academies, quarterly MAP newsletter, MAP Connect, and the MAP Bear. So what is the Monrovia Area Partnership and what do we do? So we are a program run out of the Community Development Department, specifically Neighborhood Services Division. And we try and always stay on top of the trend of the different occurrences that happen in the city of Monrovia. So with that, we try to provide education, tools, resources, information, and motivation, most importantly, for community members to get involved in the community. Because without that passion behind everyone, we won't be able to have the great community that we have. So it's really members like you that will definitely make this community even better. So where did we start? We started in 2006 and we actually kicked off at Julian Fisher Park. And that was actually in 2009. And we actually had our first leadership academies too. So we do go back far with our leadership academies. And then we had our first neighborhood conference in 2011. And then today we boast over 350 MAP leaders. And also, as you can see from year to year, you see different events come into play. And that's really MAP trying to think of different innovative ways and attempts to create different events that will really engage our community. So I'm just going to briefly go over this because we're going to be diving deeper into each one, but we have our quarterly MAP-edu community meetings, which is the one that you guys are attending today. Then we have our MAP annual neighborhood conference that we just had this April. Then we have our MAP anniversary block party, which we just had in June. I hope you guys all attended. It was really fun. And then we have our MAP neighborhood treasure block party. So this one's a very big one, but I'll go ahead and jump into that a little bit further. So today, we have our MAP-edu community meetings, which again is the one you're attending right now. We just highlight trending topics, so you won't see the same topic going over again in the same year. If that topic comes up again, it's because it's trending and coming back and people want to know more information about it. And also it is to address any kind of concerns that we have in the community. Some of them are lighthearted, the topics, and some of them are a little bit more have a little bit more issues behind it, but we really try to have a highlight for these because we want to work through those problems if there are any. And then we introduce new Monrovia police officers, but that's if we have any, and that's why today we don't have any, but look towards the next meeting to see some of our new police officers. Okay, and then just real quick, in terms of the MAP-edu community meeting, we actually used to have them in person, but as you all know, COVID threw a lot of different obstacles into that. So we wanted to get your opinion on whether we should stick with virtual or should we go back in person. We really just want to get the opinion from everyone, so then that way we make a good educated guess on what everybody would like to do and what's more convenient. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're actually gonna go ahead and plop in the link to submit your opinion towards the end of the presentation, just because we have a lot going on my side of things, so we'll enter that link a little bit later. Alrighty, and then our annual MAP Neighborhood Conference. So this is one of our biggest events of the year. We plan it within, I'd say, 6 months. It takes 6 months to throw this thing together, and it really does put emphasis onto MAP's goal of engaging our community. It touches on information booths. It provides workshops, again, on trending topics. So whether that be volunteering in your community and us inviting our local nonprofits to talk about it, we really do try to keep the topics different and on trend with what's going on. And then we also have a lot of vendors that come in. We actually provide free health screenings through our partnership with Set for Life. So it's really a fun-filled day, and I'd just like to highlight one of the fun parts was we got to paint our MAP Samson bear. So he's our newest member to the MAP family. All right, and then we have our anniversary block party. This one's very lighthearted, fun, a great way to come out of your house on a hot day, but cool off with some beverages, and we have free pizza, and it's just really great to meet your neighbors that maybe you haven't before and network and meet all the different local businesses that come through their informational booths. And then, of course, we have our fun games and raffle prizes and such. Then we have our neighborhood treasure block party. This one's very special and near and dear to many people in the community. It's a way to celebrate our unsung heroes. And we have many out there in the community. If you would like to see what they are, we have them all available on our city website. But with those public art pieces, we do have a party to celebrate that unsung hero. So that's where MAP comes in and helps facilitate that. It's a really great way to see just a very emotional but happy emotional moment come to life, and just really, again, network with your neighbors. And then with that, that's my segment. I will go ahead and welcome up Justin Edson to finish the rest of the presentation.
Good morning, everybody. Glad to see so many faces. We're going to be going over the academy. And it's great to see that with the folks that have joined us today. I see leaders that have gone through our program since 2006 to some graduates just from our 2021 class. So it really shows how great this program is it engages our residents throughout the years and creates that connection between us and the community that we serve. So briefly, here's our overview of our academies. We actually have an adult and a youth leadership academy. They're both a 7-week program, meets once a week in September and October. And we go over a variety of topics, whether it's Government 101, understanding what the government of our small town, City of Monrovia does, and then also leadership classes and tips on how to engage your neighbors. And then we also have the youth one, which has a different type of classes. And these are really to empower them as they grow and become young adults. We have classes on how to vote and interactions with the police department and doing a resume, a mock interview, and those things help build them up so they're ready to go off to college, because this is for 6th through 12th grade students. And here's an example of each of our class lineups for each one. So on the left here in the green, you see all the topics that we have for this upcoming youth leadership. And the cool thing that we're doing also is in coordination with our annual Make a Difference Day. We usually have our MAP leaders come out to that, but as part of our Leadership Academy, we're having our students and our future leaders come out as a group. And that way we can represent as a team as we clean up our community and work together. And so as you can see, we have some pretty cool new classes that we're reinventing for the youth and the adult classes coming up. And this starts first week of September. So it's a good time to let your neighbors know, your friends know, your church congregation, whoever you might have out there that you interact with. And that's why we value so much our partnership with the Welcome Wagon, is a way to get this message out to our community so that they can learn more about what's going on and how we could stay in touch and improve the community together. So we also do a quarterly newsletter. So this is really cool. In addition to the Monrovia Today, which does go out quarterly on behalf of the city, this is specific just to MAP. So this is for anybody, whether you're a MAP leader, you're a resident that just wants to learn about what's going on with MAP or some of our highlights. We come up with different things every edition that we put out. And this could be updates about upcoming events, city department highlights. We talk about community activist policing, code enforcement. We even tie in the hidden gems and local small business highlights. So it's just a great way to learn about what's going on in our community here in Monrovia. So you can go to our website, which we shared in the chat, Monrovia Area Partnership.com. That's a new website that we have a lot of cool information on there. It's always being updated, and you can sign up to get these emails on a quarterly basis. And then, as Aleks mentioned earlier, we now officially have our map bear. This was really cool that at the conference back in May, we had everybody that was in attendance have a chance to paint the puzzle pieces on this map bear. So this represents the Monrovia Area Partnership, and we also displayed it at our block party in June. So this was a really cool thing. We had a great artist that helped us with this, and a huge turnout with all these beautiful puzzle pieces that were painted at the conference. And then we also want to share a little snippet about something that's coming down the road. As Aleks mentioned earlier, MAP has always every year engaged and changed and learned how it engages the community. And we come up with new things, whether it's things that we come across on our own or we learn about on the national level at a conference that we go to. But one thing that we're working on is a initiative that we call MAP Connect. And this is really a way to keep the MAP leaders that have gone through our program, which is well over 350 now, engaged with the program and help share that information with their neighbors block to block. And so this is a very local approach to the block to block neighborhoods. As MAP has been a big umbrella for the entire city, we're looking at other ways that how can we engage our neighbors. So that's why we've changed some of the subjects for this year's Leadership Academy, and then also what we're designing with this new initiative called MAP Connect. So you can learn a little bit more about this coming up. We're going to be sharing some more information as this gains traction and we share more information publicly. But this will be a great thing for MAP leaders to learn. We're putting together a very comprehensive toolkit that has templates on how to hold neighborhood meetings and who to contact for what type of issues. So it's got a lot of information that we hope to engage with current MAP leaders, future MAP leaders, and just the general public in our city. And then also make sure that you update your information with MAP. So with 350 folks that have graduated through the Leadership Academy over the last 16 years, we want to keep in touch with everybody and make sure that we have the most updated information. So on our website, and we've put this out on our email blast as well, if you've got those, is a link to take a very quick, like 3 fielded question about updating your information. So we have your right email. We don't sell any of this stuff. This email list is just for MAP only. So it's just so we can update you about what's going on with Monrovia Area Partnership. So feel free to please go on there, plug in your name, the year you graduated, your email address, so we can make sure we have the most current information going forward. So don't forget to do that as well. And then with that, I just want to say thank you. This was just a recap of Monrovia Area Partnership. For our new folks that have joined in today, feel free to get engaged. You can email us, call us, definitely sign up for the upcoming Leadership Academy. But going forward, we hope that the MAP leaders that are out there right now share this information with their neighbors, their friends, and other people in our community so that we can help learn and share information together with more residents. So if you have any questions or comments before we move on to neighborhood preservation, we can answer it now, but this is just a recap of our Monrovia Area Partnership. Do you want to switch the PowerPoint?
Wait a minute, it's Gail, and I couldn't unmute, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
So look, the last 2 times, I've sent you names ahead of time of people that are interested, because I'm always recruiting, and then I assume that you're going to follow up. And I was kind of embarrassed last year. The date of graduation, I heard back from Carol Ann Kaufman, who was one of the ones, the whistling diva, and she wanted to know when the classes were going to start. She was left off. I did talk to Tracy Sue Sanchez. I think she's going to want to follow up, which would be a good thing, because she's one of the mods of whatever the new name of Monrovia, California Facebook page is. But I will keep recruiting as long as you include them. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, of course. We entice everyone. So as long as everyone submits their applications, that's the only one thing that we have to do to really lock you in, to make sure that you are going to be updated with all of the things going on with the Leadership Academy, like location and everything. So we really do entice everyone to join. Everyone's welcome. Even if you're not a part of the city, that's completely fine. We just want to provide those resources to anyone, because they could take that to their city and make it great. So thank you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to our neighborhood preservation presentation. So if you could just give me 1 second as I switch through. Virtual meetings really test your skills of multitasking, I would have to say. Okay. Bear with me. Alrighty, so present. We're almost there. Alrighty, so we are all set. I'd like to welcome up Justin Edson. He's going to do an intro for our code enforcement team.
Everybody, I'm back. Glad to see everybody. So we're gonna talk about neighborhood preservation. So this is really important. We have a phenomenal code enforcement team here that I get to work with to serve this city. And neighborhood preservation is so important. And over the decades, it's grown with the understanding of what it does to a community. Before it was something that was kind of in the background. Nobody really thought about it. But when you really think about what code enforcement does, the real goal of this is preserving our neighborhoods, making sure it doesn't, fall into deterioration and cause more problems for the community. We want to keep that going. And some of that is that property pride that we have is for home ownership and working together so that we can help the community improve. And so neighborhood preservation plays a great part of this. And that's why we're tied into the Monrovia Area Partnership, working together. So this is our team. We have 4 code enforcement officers that work for the city. And as you can see here, Krystina, and they will be sharing some of their information today as well. But Krystina is our commercial code enforcement officer. She handles all of our business districts. So Old Town, and also all of our businesses throughout the city. She's the go-to guru for everything that we have that has to do with business licensing and commercial code enforcement. And then we have 3 residential code enforcement officers, Cassie, Ken, and Charlotte. And they've divided up the city into different zones so that they can manage those cases and get to know the people within those zones. So our goal is working with you as residents to sustain a safe and healthy community. That is our goal in preserving our neighborhoods. So with that, just some information about code enforcement. Our real focus is the quality of life. And this could be how somebody lives in their home, whether they're renters or they're homeowners. We want to make sure that they live in a safe environment and it's not substandard. And so we interact with folks that might have hoarding conditions or landlord-tenant issues where the landlord is not taking care of certain things that are required by law. And so our goal is to understand our local municipal code as well as state law on what is the minimum level of requirements for living conditions here in the city of Monrovia. So the code enforcement team analyzes these laws. They look at what's a violation and what is not. Some things are simple with the nuisance issues and the way that they look to the neighborhood, but other things could be a lot more in detail with the health and safety in the way that they live. And you can think of things like green pools and improper plumbing and things like that, which we will go in depth on. But that's really what code enforcement is focused on, is we regulate the quality of life to make sure that Monrovians live in a safe community, whether it's the outside or the inside of the home. So our staff has changed over the many decades that our city's been working on neighborhood preservation. And there was one point where there was maybe only 1 or 2 people dedicated to this type of work. And now we're fortunate to have 4 certified code enforcement officers that have the true understanding of what is needed to preserve this neighborhood and keep people safe. So we're very lucky to have the 4-person team that we do. They're all state certified. So they've gone through a lot of training to understand what the common issues are that cities face and how to try to curb those issues so it doesn't become worse. So here's just an example of our map breakdown of our 3 residential code enforcement officers. As you can see in the pinkish red over on the top left, Ken True handles that area of the city. So any cases that fall in that area, he investigates. Cassie is in the yellow area to the top right. And then Charlotte, who's one of our news code officers, she's handling the green area. And so they handle everything residential, as Krystina handles the businesses and commercial side of things. But their contact information is up on the screen, which is also on our website. Email, phone number, if you have any questions about code enforcement or you might have a concern in your neighborhood. Feel free to reach out to us so that we can help answer your questions.
Question.
Yes, Larry.
Yeah, so Charlotte has the biggest area. Is that because she's the newest one on the block?
No, it can be a little deceiving. It can be a little deceiving with all the empty space that we have.
I didn't want to say what I wanted to say, but it's all good.
No, it's just there's a lot of commercial area as well down in the green area, so that's helps kind of alleviate the load with Krystina handling the commercial side of things. So
okay, I'm just making sure you're not messing over the sister. Okay.
No, she's handling it very well.
All right.
And so okay, just want to make sure I'm on the right slide here. The responsibilities of code enforcement. So our goal is to really to educate residents. We focus on handouts that we have, educational notices. Usually when we first make contact with a homeowner in our city, we start with an education. That way we can let them know, because there's just so many different rules and requirements, as you guys might know, with even, the California vehicle code with driving. There's so many different things that are out there that you might not know all the little details. So our goal is just to educate and let people know, hey, this is a concern. This is how we can come into compliance to fix it. So we're very focused on educating the community. And these are some of the things that we focus on as a group. Property maintenance, how's it maintained? This could be overgrown landscaping. It could be inoperable vehicles, trash cans out in front all day with getting spilled out. Public nuisances like, green pools or things that are causing a concern to the community. The substandard housing violations, where how somebody lives, unpermitted construction. A lot of people think that might not be that big of a deal, but if something's not permitted, meaning it has not been reviewed by a certified building inspector that knows what the state law is on how things are built, it could collapse, it could cause problems down the road. So we got to make sure that we regulate unpermitted construction. And then we also have business operations that Krystina helps out with, and zoning requirements and land use violations. So we focus on those type of cases, but we also do proactive sweeps throughout the city where we look for abandoned bulky items, things that are illegally dumped, graffiti, shopping carts, those things that are pop up overnight and maybe in the alley or on a major thoroughway. And so the code enforcement team, they drive around the city and they look for these things so we can resolve it and get it cleaned up as quick as possible. So here's the methods that we have for gaining compliance. Like I mentioned earlier, we focus on education letters. How do we educate our residents that there might be a requirement for something? And a lot of this is done face-to-face contact. Having that that face-to-face where we get to say, hey, we're so-and-so with the City of Monrovia. We just wanted to let you know that there's a concern and this is how we can resolve it. And we work with people with their timelines and try to resolve the situation as long as it's not, urgent or immediate threat to the community. So with COVID, it played a unique role over the last 2 years, but we still are able to maintain that distancing and go onto people's properties, look at their concerns, and see if there's something that we can assist them with. And then we also refer things. So the code enforcement team they wear a lot of different hats and they know who to contact for a lot of different issues. So we work with obviously MAP, but all the city departments, police, fire, public works, and then we work with county agencies like public health, vector control. And so if we see an issue on a property and it might not be something that we handle, we know who to get in touch with so that we can still resolve the problem. So again, you can always reach out to us. If you have a question, we can let you know who might have, more control over that type of situation or how we can best help you. And then we also have some great programs like CBG residential rehab, where for qualified low to moderate income families that have homes, we provide the CBG funding to help rehabilitate their property. And then we also do the Make a Difference Day, which we'll talk about. And we help residents that might be elderly, handicapped, or anything like that, that we can try to get some volunteers for. And with that, I'm going to turn over to our first code officer, Cassie, who's going to go over residential.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. So my name is Cassie, and I'm one of the code officers here. So first, we're just going to go ahead and talk about the common code enforcement issues. So one is just lack of property maintenance, inoperable vehicles, excessive storage, trash and debris, as far as, and also as trash cans and bulky items. So this is just a before and after. So here it's just the landscaping was not being maintained. So you have the before of what it looked like, and then now the after once it's all cleaned up. So this one we could definitely say was compliance, and it was accomplished. The next would be landscaping and maintenance. So of course this with the high weeds, we don't want that. So your lawn should not exceed 6 inches in height, and you want to make sure your landscaping is always neat, clean, and maintained at all times. And then just some more with landscaping and overgrown trees. You know, this is not something that we want, so you just want to trim everything back so that way we can see your beautiful property. And then just some more before and afters, of course. You have there on the left-hand side, just dead trees, just high hedges, overgrown vegetation. And then now on the right-hand side, they have a nice white picket fence and the landscaping is being maintained. And green pools, of course, this is definitely not something that we want to have, and is definitely a health and safety issue. So like Justin mentioned, we work with vector control. So whether, you know, they know that this pool is green, they'll contact us to get in touch with the property owner. We'll send out a letter telling them it's a health and safety violation and to get it cleaned up. And so, yeah, this is not something that we want to have in the city of Monrovia. And just more property maintenance with fencing, of course, want to repair any broken or wooden slats, things like that. So just want to make sure everything is always being maintained, making sure your property is looking beautiful at all times. Another one with property maintenance, just weatherproofing. Make sure you always have a nice, fresh, clean coat of paint on your property. We don't want any of that wood, you know, going bad or having to do any replacements there. So you just want to make sure you always have your property weatherproofed. Inoperable vehicles, of course, those are very unsightly when they're in your front yard. Then there's just cobwebs growing underneath them, or weeds now going through them, like on the bottom picture there. So always make sure that your inoperable vehicles are stored out of public view, and also know that they cannot be legally driven on public streets. Just vehicle repair. Vehicle repair is not permitted in a residential zone unless the vehicle is registered to the property owner, and repairs must be completed within 48 hours. And also know too that, you know, we don't like this bottom picture, cars on jacks, that is also another health and safety issue as well too. So that's something that you don't want to have for long periods of time. And parking on lawn, of course, is prohibited. So please no parking on the lawn. Don't want to see that across, you know, while you're driving in Monrovia. So RVs, boats, and trailers. So they must be parked in an enclosed building. They must be stored on a paved surface in the rear or side yard screened from the public view. Because I'm sure your neighbors wouldn't like to see this, you know, being there all year round. And we understand that, you know, with vacations, holidays, and things like that, you know, there for like a day or two while you're getting it prepped. Of course, when you're bringing it back, cleaning it out, things like that, that's understandable, but just not year round. Trash cans. So of course we don't want to see trash cans being left out all day long or all week long as well too. So please make sure whenever your, you know, trash day is, you have it placed out for pickup until sunset the day before, and then have it removed from the curb or alleyway no later than sunset of the day of pickup. And of course, we don't want to see things like this, whether it's in the backyard or front yard, of discarded furniture, outside storage, and of course, you know, we can go on with this. As Justin mentioned, one of the programs that has that's, you know, been out there that are, when we go out for sweeps, you may, you know, as you're driving along, driving along in Monrovia, we have these beautiful yellow tags here, which, as all of us code officers, when we're out in the field, when we see items that have been dumped out in the street, you know, we stop, we put this, we stick it with tape and we put it on there. It's just a little informational. So whether you you have already called for Athens to pick it up, that's great. We appreciate it. But we just still have to stick it on there just in case. And if you haven't, I've seen where some people, where they've put their discard items back onto their property, and then they probably will be making the proper call to Athens for a bulky item pickup. So if you see these, don't be alarmed. You're more than welcome to call us if, you know, you have any questions about it. But this is something that you're just probably, you know, maybe seeing as you're out there driving around Monrovia. Okay, so another thing is hazardous lighting. As much as we all love the holidays, one of those, I love the holidays. But please just make sure that once the holidays are over, you take down all those Christmas lights. I know it makes, your neighborhood and everything look beautiful, but they're not meant to be there year round. So just please make sure you remove those once the holidays are over. And of course, garage conversions and illegal construction. These are things that are definitely health and safety. Like we see here, this was on the right-hand side was a garage conversion, unpermitted, and unfortunately it caught fire. So just make sure, with ADUs or junior ADUs, please come in to see our planning department. They will be more than willing to help you out to see what you can do. And with that, that concludes my portion of residential code enforcement. And now I'm going to hand it off to Krystina for commercial. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon now, MAP leaders and future MAP leaders. My name is Krystina Livaraga, and I am the Commercial Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Monrovia. Basically, commercial code enforcement handles all the same issues as residential code handles, so that anything dealing with property maintenance, unpermitted construction, excessive trash and debris, any health and safety concerns. I also collaborate with our community policing department. Some additional enforcement items that commercial code oversees is possible unpermitted habitation with somebody living in a commercial property, because our commercial properties are zoned for commercial use and not for human habitation. Also enforcement of any commercial signs, so any permanent signs, window signs, temporary banners, I oversee that as well. I have specific Old Town Code enforcement because there's a lot of regulations or zoning approvals for this area, such as outdoor dining, live entertainment, things like that, that I oversee in the Old Town district as well. And then other zoning enforcement things that I look at is business use, making sure that everybody is using their or performing their business operations according to what their approved use is for that location. Conditional use permits, which kind of outlines additional business operation guidelines for certain types of businesses that require that, such as if a business serves alcohol or has outdoor dining, that's where conditional use permit would come in. And also business licensing. So I oversee all the business licensing within the City of Monrovia. So any unlicensed businesses, we want to make sure that they get their license because they're operating in accordance with the zoning that they're in. Also to any specialty business license. So massage, such as massage establishments, food trucks, things like that. So same property maintenance issues I come across as residential. We have some businesses that may, have an accumulation of trash or overgrown landscaping, and I go ahead and start the process just the same way as residential. We start off by educating the property owner, making sure that their tenant, or if they're the ones occupying the business, that they're maintaining their property in a clean and neat manner at all times. Because once we leave that trash and debris there for a while, it tends to be an eyesore and then another opportunity for somebody else to continue dumping there as well. So we try to, nip that in the bud as soon as possible. Graffiti is also another issue that we come across, especially on our large industrial buildings that are kind of set off, off where somebody can easily just start graffitiing the building. So I have a lot of property owner contacts. I reach out to them while I'm out there doing my sweeps, and I see the graffiti on these commercial buildings. We notify the property owner to make sure that they get the graffiti removed as soon as possible, because again, it's an attractive nuisance, and once graffiti stays for a while, then it entices other people to start graffitiing the building as well. So we don't want that Another issue that I have came across in commercial code is legal marijuana grows. So a lot of people will occupy these large commercial buildings and start a marijuana grow. We've had quite a few over the couple of years. Of course, PD handles the drug portion of it, but commercial code enforcement comes in because a lot of times the occupants will alter the building. Most of the time it's unpermitted. So we're dealing with a lot of electrical hazards, unpermitted subdivisions, things like that. So these create an immediate safety to, our public. And we work with the property owners because ultimately the property owner is responsible for what's going on at their property. So we work with them to make sure that the building is brought back into compliance along with our building department to get rid of any of these health and safety hazards. So one thing with code enforcement, it's ever changing, with what's going on at that time. And sometimes there's things, we get bills that come down from the state and we have to kind of model some of our enforcement to these bills. But then sometimes things like maybe a pandemic happens where we have to address that issue and see what code enforcement can do to help our community and make sure our community stays safe. So, back in March 2020, that's when we were just at the beginning stages of the pandemic. And basically the state came down and forced a lot of our local businesses to close their doors to the public and only offer very limited types of services. Our biggest being our restaurants. So they had to close their doors to anybody to come inside and eat, and they were only allowed online orders, curbside pickup, things like that. So eventually things loosened up a little bit, and these businesses were allowed to do some outdoor type operations, and not only included restaurants, but also included personal services like salons and nail salons as well. So we quickly gathered our minds together and tried to figure out a way to hurry up and get these businesses operating outside, but in an approved way that wouldn't be a public safety hazard, and that we make sure that our businesses can continue operating. So that came our temporary outdoor business operations permit. So this was for any business to operate outside. So this included any public sidewalks, any public parking lots. Some of our businesses had dining on our street. We did have a few hair salons that provided services outside. We had a few of our religious affiliates who wanted to do their services outside as well. So we provided these permits to all our businesses. We made sure that our public works department oversaw this, and that our fire department, making sure everyone was out there in a safe manner. So recently, I believe it was about the last 6 months, we were directed to start tailoring back some of these outdoor dinings because, in the light of everything kind of starting opening up to business as usual, we were having a lot more traffic in our city. So we needed to start curbing some of that back. So I'm sure some of you have seen that we've curbed back some of our street dining portions or anything in public parking lots. But before we curbed those back, we made sure we had contact with each of those business owners, because we want to let them know that we're not trying to hurt their business, but we need to start tailoring back. So we worked with them on expanding their sidewalk outdoor dining so they didn't lose that much space. So we really tried hard to make sure that these businesses still can continue to bring in business, because a lot of our public was still uncomfortable with going inside. So we currently still have our towable permit active, just not on our public streets and our public parking lots, but these permits are still active as long as there's a emergency order in place. So that's kind of commercial code enforcement in a nutshell. And I am going to turn it over to Charlotte Cush, our newest member of code enforcement, and she's going to talk about weekend code enforcement. Thank you.
Hey, everybody.
Charlotte?
Hi, I'm Charlotte Cush, residential code enforcement officer. Just because it's the weekend, that doesn't mean that code sleeps. Some of the areas that we address are yard sales. In the city of Monrovia, you, in order to have a yard sale, you need to obtain a yard sale permit. It's $5. It covers you for 2 consecutive days, and you can have that yard sale twice in a year, so every 6 months. The signs can be placed on your property the day of the yard sale, but do not post them on trees or on Edison poles, and they can also be placed on your car. Unpermitted construction. Sometimes people try to do construction on the weekend. They need to obtain a building permit, and all work needs to stop once we see that. So if we see someone doing construction and find out that they don't have a permit, we do a stop work order, and then they will need to come in the next business day to obtain the needed permits. Street vendors. All street vendors need a City of Monrovia business license and health department certification. Some of the things that we see and address on weekends are shopping carts and discarded items. So shopping carts, all retailers are required to contain the carts on their property, and we actually enter cart retrieval information in a website that they have, and so they'll come and pick them up. Also abandoned items. So like Cassie brought out about the yellow notice that we place when we see discarded items on the street, it has some really good information on there. It gives the number to Athens, which is our provider for discarded items. It talks about you're able to have 2 free bulky item pickups per year. And it says all additional pickups are $61.64 each. So some pretty good information that's placed on there. Make a Difference Day. This year, Make a Difference Day will be held October 23rd, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the Monrovia Library Park. This is something that we do in coordination with the Volunteer Center of the San Gabriel Valley. We encourage all of our leaders, youth and adults, to come and share a part. What's great about Make a Difference Day is these are referrals that are existing code violations. So it includes yard cleanup, trash and debris removal. We assist with inviting the whole community to come out and take a part. So all residents are welcome to come and volunteer for the morning and help clean up the community. And just look at the pictures of the people who previously did it. Don't they look happy? So that's really great. Local resources. So if you have an issue, you can report it. Loitering, traffic, parking, and safety, that's the police department. Shopping carts, you can report that as well. Bulky items, you can report to Athens, including trash service and street sweeping. Property maintenance concerns, that's code enforcement, so you can call us. Fire hazards, that's the Monrovia Fire Department. Housing at the Housing Rights Center. There's a graffiti hotline. Street lights and sidewalk, I can't see the other, sidewalks. E-waste and household hazardous items, I'm assuming. Part of it's cut off, so I can't read everything, but temporary shelter. If you need someone who needs temporary shelter, food, or health services, you can contact the Foothill Unity Center. Illegal construction, that's our building and safety department. I used to get those phone calls. And animal control, you can contact the Pasadena Humane Society. So that's my time. Bye, everyone.
So does anybody have any questions before we move on with the rest of Monrovia Area Partnership information? This is your chance. You can ask them in the chat or live.
So here you go. This goes to the abandoned property. And when I used to belong to the world and go out, I would report it all the time, call Aleks to Tiki and get it reported. The tags are a good idea on the residential streets, but the problem is, it used to make me really mad. On Evergreen and Central, that's become or had been a dumping ground. People didn't want to have it in front of their house, and they would put all kinds of things, refrigerators, couches, whatever. So that's just feedback to make sure that somebody's still checking for that.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I had a question, or well, I have two questions. I wanted to know, in terms of the illegal dumping, I understand that, we put those yellow tags when we see it, but I guess I wanted to know a little bit more about what has been or what is the practice when it comes to illegal dumping, because although I know that we put the yellow tags on it, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you guys just yellow tag without talking to the resident or kind of interacting. So I'm thinking more of in the perspective or from the place of, is it providing, is it effective, or is it providing the resident with a positive experience, especially some of our new residents who kind of maybe come from an area or a city where code enforcement is not held to a high standard.
Oh, thank you for the question. So for illegal dumping, we, in coordination with Public Works and the police department, we launched the Clean Monrovia campaign. So this way, our focus is really trying to educate residents more about the proper way of reporting items, so that they don't just place it curbside. And it's just simply calling into Athens. So as part of that component, the yellow tags were brought in as an educational tool to place on the item, and then either given to the owner at their property or left on their front door if nobody's there. But it has some simple information on how to properly call it in, or even do it online, so that the items can get picked up by Athens and not sit out there for a long period of time. So it's just an educational tool, but on the backside too, is we still notify Athens of the item. So it doesn't get ignored just because there's a yellow tag on it. It means that city staff has stopped by, and then we all are also notifying Athens of this. So it's just an educational component to try to explain to new residents or existing residents on what the process is to call it in, what the cost is. Every resident gets 2 free pickups a year, which they can utilize to get, do some spring cleaning or whatever they'd like to do. But this has all the phone numbers, the links, everything's on this handout, and it even has a QR code. So if you have a smartphone, you can click a picture of it, takes you right to the website. It has Spanish on the back. And on the front, it has a step-by-step process of how to call it in. So it's just an extra step that we're trying to educate residents on how to do it the correct way. So we try to make the face-to-face contact. Again, it depends on if somebody's home. There's a lot of doors we knock on that they don't answer. We might communicate with them through the Ring or some type of smart Ring device. But that's why we have it as a door hanger, that we can at least leave it for them when they get home. But we try our best to make as much contact with people as we can.
Okay, but then just to clarify, and I appreciate you providing that information, it's really helpful, but just to clarify then, the practice is to make contact with the resident, not just to stick the yellow tag and leave.
Ideally, yes. I mean, there's so many variables that, depending on the circumstances, if they're able to get to the front door, there's a lot of properties that are gated, but our process is, our goal is to make contact.
Okay, all right. And my second question was, we discussed a little bit about when a house isn't being maintained, and there was an example of a house where paint is peeling. And I'd like to know a little bit more about, I guess in the cases of, right now, I think many households, especially in our city or our areas, are struggling financially. In the case that a resident can't, put up the cost to do that. I guess, are there resources that are provided to them?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. We do, and that's part of where code enforcement, our division, works on, is people can call us and we can try to find the right resource for their right situation. So the CDBG rehabilitation program handles that specifically, as long as they qualify as a low to moderate income. Painting is part of that too, fixing up the property, the exterior of the house, because that's grant money that's through CBG that the resident does not have to pay. But we also have Make a Difference Day, where code enforcement is aware of a property where they're struggling and they are not able to provide some help. We try to utilize our volunteers and resources to help them out, get the paint or get the resources to help them with that. So we have a wide array of organizations and different events that we work with, that if we're aware of it, or if somebody refers somebody to our division, or they call us directly, we're going to work with them and try to figure out how best to solve their situation.
And you also have Habitat for Humanity if they're a senior that they can reach out to.
Thank you, Larry. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Justin, for answering my questions. And thank you as well, Mr. Spicer.
Yeah, good questions. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And if they're not a senior, they might be able to find low-cost paint and other housing building supplies at the Habitat for Humanity restore, which happens to be about where the 605 freeway starts now. Justin, there is one other question that I have, and it's always a little more complicated when there are, when you say 2 pickups a year. It's the multi-unit housing where it becomes problematic. And there have been times when Athens wanted to charge renters because they'll say, well, you've already had 2. What is the guideline when it's multi-unit?
Yeah, that's a great question too with bulky items. So the multi-units are allowed the same amount of pickups. So in this situation, it would be described as per unit. But they would have to work with whoever the account holder is, which is most likely the manager. So they would have to coordinate with the manager to get those 2 free bulky item pickups to start with. But there is a fee, just like with any, whether it's single family or multifamily, however many additional pickups they have throughout the year. But every unit is allowed to get those 2 free pickups. It's just the account holder's got to be the one that contacts Athens to schedule that, because it's tied to the account. Hopefully that answered questions. I don't see any other questions. Aleks has been sharing some links and resources in the chat. But with that, I appreciate some great questions. Really enjoy the dialogue, and our email's on there. You can email, call us. We'll be happy to talk to you all week long if you have anything that you'd like to follow up with us. But we'll go ahead and move it over to our final closing with our MAP program. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. All right, so we've come to that point where I have to do a switcheroo of the presentation. So if you could just give me 1 second as I get that back. But let's give it up to our code enforcement team for all the work that they do. Okay, so go back here. And thank you for everyone's patience. We don't have much after this. It's just some minor updates, and then we will all let you go back and enjoy your Saturday. Okay. Alrighty, gonna start sharing my screen. Sorry, my computer is thinking really hard right now. Okay, there we go. Okay. Oh my goodness. And again, if you guys have any questions throughout the entire presentation, just feel free to submit them in the chat. All righty. Okay, great. So now we have our MAP leader announcements. So this is specifically for any of our MAP leaders that has a certain announcement about maybe an event that's occurring or just something great for our other folks that are in attendance today to know about something that's going on in the community. So if there's any announcements. Oh, Rebecca, go ahead. You feel free to.
Hi. Can you hear me? Oh, hi. This is Rebecca Takahashi. I'm one of the newly appointed garden leadership team members with the Monrovia Community Garden. And we're going to have one of our 2 monthly pop-ups actually coming up this Wednesday starting at 5:30. So come out and meet some great people, learn a lot about gardening and plants. You can learn more about the program if you're interested in becoming a plot holder or just trying to make your own garden more beautiful and bountiful. I benefited from that personally, and the garden is actually my introduction to the greater Monrovia community. I've met a lot of great people through that program as well too. They're coming out at 5:30, and I think we're doing another one on Saturday the 20th, starting at 9 in the morning.
Perfect. Thank you, Rebecca. She's also a MAP leader, a new MAP leader. So, and so other than that, is there anybody else that has any announcements? You could raise your hand or you could submit it in the chat. Okay. I take that as a no. So I'll go ahead and move forward. Okay, so this is a special one for all of our MAP leaders and their birthdays. We wanted to say a special happy birthday. So again, if you don't see your name on here, that means that we don't have your birthday information. So please feel free to submit that to us and we'll be happy to include you in all of our next quarterly meetings. All right, so that brings me to our last slide of staying connected. Very big to stay connected here in the city, and so many different ways to stay connected. City manager update, MAP, all of our other different community organizations, but please feel free if you have any questions or have an idea. We always welcome that and any kind of feedback. That's how we continue MAP moving forward in the right direction, is when we hear all of your voices. And yeah, so thank you so much. That brings us to the end. If you have any questions, again, all of our contact information is on there. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and say,
Aleks, it's
yes.
Debbie. Yeah, May, my name wasn't on there, and May 31st, I had my 80th birthday.
May 31st. Oh my God, Betty. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
What a blessing. 80. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, is there any other comments that we have? No? All right. Thank you guys so much. I hope you all have a wonderful Saturday and rest of your weekend. See you next time.
This was great, Aleks.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Larry.
All right.
A good meeting. Have a good Saturday, everybody.
You as well.
Bye,
Thank you.
I
concur. Wonderful meeting.
No problem. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
See you later, Sergio.
Bye, Larry. Bye, Gloria.
Bye,
Bye, Gail. Bye, Gail.
See ya.